I don't look at opportunity and think, yay. I look at opportunity and say, how much work is going to be involved with this? I
Mmm.
see the work first. That's always been me.
What's good? I'm Nikisha Elise Williams, and this is Black and Published, bringing you the journeys of writers, poets, playwrights, and storytellers of all kinds. Today's guest is Shenequa Golding, author of the book A Black Girl in the Middle, Essays on Allegedly Figuring It All Out. The book addresses friendship fallouts, body acceptance in the age of BBLs, and pulling out of the dating pool.
I have given so much more than my body to men, and I have gotten nothing in return. So that is why I'm no longer having sex until I'm married. And what I have learned about this practice, being abstinent, is that unfortunately, men will find other things to take.
Shenequa's collection is the culmination of what happened after her essay about being Black in the workplace after George Floyd's murder went viral. So viral, Amazon founder and billionaire Jeff Bezos reposted it. She explains why, even though she'd been writing for years, she never thought a book deal was within her reach. Plus, how she's overcoming her own insecurities. And why she wants the 20-somethings coming behind her to remember that grace and anger are not mutually exclusive. Get to know Shenequa next, when Black and Published continues. All right, so Shenequa, let's jump in. When did you know that you were a writer?
Growing up, I was very insecure. And I found that the only time that I was my strongest or my boldest is when I wrote in a journal. I loved reading, and I distinctly remember the first time I ever saw like a Vibe magazine with Tretch on the cover. I remember that moment and how in my like 8 or 9 year old mind, I wanted to be in the magazine. I didn't want to be famous, but I wanted to be in the magazine. And I didn't know that you could like do that for a living. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess my love of writing started when I was younger, but like when I started calling myself a writer, probably not until my 20s.
What happened in your 20s that made you begin to claim the title of writer?
I went to Hampton University, and like I said, my love of like Vibe and hip hop magazines, I just wanted to do it, right? And then, Brown Sugar came out, so I was like, oh my God, I got to be Sid Shaw. Like that's I'm gonna live in a brownstone in Brooklyn. Like that's just what it is. And then I went to the dean of my department at the time, and I told him about my love of music. And he said something to the effect of, well, baby, this is not going to be poetry. We're going to do real writing here. Like just the condescension in his voice, because I was referencing Vibe magazine as my North Star. And I remember that year, I was like, you know what? Forget that. And so that year, I decided to become a print journalism major because I wanted to be Sid Shaw, I wanted to be Danielle Smith. And I just worked my way through the ranks.
That's what's up. Danielle was on the show last season with her book Shine Bright. So working your way through the ranks, and you talk about it a bit in your book where you're writing, you're freelancing, you're doing corporate things, but it was an essay that you wrote during the pandemic that went viral that has really brought us together today that led to your book. So what was it about writing in a very vulnerable time in the world's life when we were all grieving, not just from the trauma of George Floyd, but just the collective loss of what happened in 2020 that led you to write the essay that you did?
Ever since Trayvon Martin, I made it my business not to, if there was any footage, any 911 recordings, I made it my business not to listen, not to see it, not to disrespect the life lost, but it's a lot. It's a lot for me. You know what I mean? So when George Floyd happened, I made it my business not to watch those 8.5, 9.5 minutes, but you couldn't escape it, and it flew across my feed, and I just couldn't get over it. But it was Memorial Day weekend, I believe, May 25th. So, we had that Monday off. Tuesday, we're in the middle of the pandemic, so we're all most of us are working from home. And I was in a meeting with some former colleagues, and they were white. And it was just so what'd you do this weekend? Like, oh my God, I went out to the islands and and I do not think they were being intentionally insensitive. I really believe they did not know, nor it was just, this is the world that I live in. This is the world that you live in. And the world that you live in, you don't get to see or have to see this death.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in this meeting, and there was another Black girl in that meeting. I'm not gonna shout her out because I know who she is. I don't know where she worked. But we both just went off camera and she like slacked me and she was like, girl. And
Mm.
it was the fact that I had to remain professional in the wake of George Floyd's death. So when I wrote my story, Maintaining Professionalism in the Age of Black Death is a Lot, I didn't think anybody was going to notice it. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but I just wrote it because I was like, this is how I feel. And I wrote it, and turns out a lot of people felt that way too.
Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, I was nervous about that one too. Yeah.
What was that moment like for you?
You ever spend too much money in one day? You just know you just spent too much money, whether it was on transportation, food, you just did a little bit too much. That is how I felt when I first saw that Mr. Bezos reposted it, because I did not know how our community was going to react to it. I didn't know if they were going to feel as though Mr. Bezos reposting it would dilute its message. That's how I initially felt. It was just this sinking fear, like, mm. And then thankfully it had the adverse effect. It was received.
And so then the essay being received, you being, I'm assuming, like platformed in new ways where
Mhm.
people are looking to you and listening. Did you ever feel like any of that you were going through as you were processing in real time, everything that was happening was performative?
No, I wrote how I felt, and everything that happened afterwards was just what happened afterwards. I have never, and I will never profess to be an activist, community organizer, thought leader, or anything like that. I'm just a Black girl who wrote a story and it echoed how a lot of people felt.
So then what was the journey from there, from that essay to Black Girl in the Middle?
As you can imagine, my inbox was kind of like flooded, and I was not paying attention to a lot of it. And then in my agent, Kathy, shout out to Kathy, she reached out to me on my old defunct website. We had a conversation, and she was the second agent that reached out to me. The
Was she
first,
already your agent or?
no, she was
Okay.
not my agent at the time.
Okay.
She was the second agent that reached out to me. The first agent that I spoke to completely took over the conversation. She was just like, well, tell me, some of the chapters in your book. And I said, well, the first chapter is going to be about my name. And she was like, yes, your name. We should expand that. I want the entire book to be about your name and the experiences with your name. And she told me the book that she needed me to write for her to pitch. Whereas Kathy said to me, what book do you want to write?
Because were you even working on a book at the time?
Funny enough, 2 or 3 years prior, I had written 4 or 5 essays that are now in the book, and I was going to self-publish because I was like, oh, there's no way I'm going to get a book deal. That's not going to happen. So I was going to self-publish. So some of the chapters that were in the proposal I had already worked on, but I was not prepared to dedicate an entire book just to my name because there's so much more of me than just my name. And when
Mm-hmm.
Kathy was just like, yeah, what book do you want to write? I was like, all right, bet. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm. And so then having her see you in that way and listen to you about what it is that you wanted to write, before we get to the publishing process, can you tell us? I'm a, I, I'm assuming the book you wanted to write is the book that I read, which I loved. But how did
Oh,
how did you explain it to Kathy and describing to her so that she could sell it?
I just told her this is a book about some of the experiences I had, mostly in my 20s, a few in my 30s. And it is going to come from the vantage point of a Black girl who grew up in Queens, New York. And she said, okay.
Bet.
She's like, bet, bet.
Bet. All right. So then I got one more question before we go to publishing. Why didn't you think you would get a book deal for that kind of book?
Oh, girl, I know how challenging it is to be a writer. I know how challenging it is to be a paid writer, a full-time writer. Getting a book deal, girl, I was just like, that's not gonna happen. Not for me. No, it's not. Like I might be able to like go viral on Twitter once or twice. Like I might hit a little bit, but that's not going. I just did not ever really think that that was going to ever happen for me. And God was just like, okay, girl, that's what it was. But I can't. Maybe it's an insecurity. It is an insecurity. There is no other way to describe it. It's an
Yeah, because
insecurity.
I was gonna say like we're the same age, and so I'm like, it's not that you didn't see other Black women writers that look like you,
Mhm, mhm.
because we can both call examples.
Correct.
Um, wow, have you gotten over that? Like that kind of insecurity now that the book is here?
I think I have. But I am somebody. How do I say this? I don't look at opportunity and think, yay. I look at opportunity and say, how much work is going to be involved with this? I
Mm,
see the work first. That's always been me. And so the work to get a book deal, so I think that's what I was focused on.
I got you. I got you. That makes sense to me now. So then working with Kathy, putting together the proposal, going on submission, what was your journey like in talking to publishers and editors about this collection?
I didn't really get many people vying for my book. I got a lot of, we just bought a book just like this. Like people would say, like, I love it, but I literally just bought another collection of essays from a Black woman. Or they would not get back to Kathy. And it's no shade to anyone because there's always proposals coming in. With Maya at Beacon Press, shout out to Maya. I feel like Maya read the book and like, yo, this could be like one of my homegirls. And I think that's why Maya over at Beacon Press dug it so much. You know what I'm saying? And I'm so thankful for it. Prior to getting it to Maya, I worked with another editor. Her name is Fernanda Martinez. Shout out to how many? Do I have a number of shout outs I can give?
You can shout out as many people as
All
you
right.
need
Okay. Cool.
to.
All right. So shout out to Fernanda Martinez, woman of color, super dope. She read my chapters and completely understood what I was saying. And she would help me truncate this, move this paragraph up, bring this paragraph down. And that was really important just to even get the proposal in a right space. Because if your proposal isn't good, you're not going to get anywhere. And I also would like to shout out Damon Young. He was really helpful with that as well.
You talked about just a minute ago about when you see opportunity, you see the work. What was it like getting the deal and then having to really dig in and do the work of writing the essays? And while working full time, working from home and like living life as a Black girl in the middle?
I had never had to rise to that occasion prior. So, working full time has its own demands. Excuse me, working full time during the pandemic is just like, okay. And then working full time during a pandemic, but also trying to write a book was so emotionally exhausting. It required a time management that I didn't have before. It required an emotional splitting of myself. So I had to be able to have enough energy to do the work that I was getting paid for, and then have enough energy to do the work that was required of me for this book. I don't want to sugarcoat anything, but for me, being a writer oftentimes feels like vomiting, and you have to vomit up a lot of these emotions. And then when you have dope editors like I had, Fernanda, Maya, also shout out to Jen Baker. Jen specifically, she was like, excellent. Now go in the vomit and find the food that made you do it. Let's write about that. You know what I'm saying? Jen was not playing games with me, and I had the utmost respect for her. She got me together, but it was a lot.
So Jen and I worked together at a nonprofit, and
Hey.
I had her on the show for Forgive Me Not. So her
Yeah.
episode just aired like a couple of weeks ago.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
that is just
Jen was wonderful. Great. Let's go back. Her.
let's
Yes.
circle back and get to the
Yes.
specificity here.
Yes. Yes.
I have so many questions about that because, like, so I write fiction. And so for me, going up submission, the
Mm,
book was done. And so like all of the vomiting that I had to do, even though it's behind the character and all of that juggling, it was already on the page by the time my agent took it there. But like you are having to mine your life, your experiences, and your emotions and put them on the page. When were you actually doing the writing when you got the deal? What year was that?
All right. So 2020 was the essay. August 2021 was the deal. So maybe from September 21 until 2023.
Ooh.
And I also want to be clear, as I stated earlier, I was going to self-publish. So some of these chapters I wrote 2018. But like the chunk of it, I want to say from like 2021, 2023, maybe.
Did you doubt if you could do it and turn everything?
Oh, girl, I had the Dear Beacon Press. Thank you it's saved in drafts. Saved in drafts, honey. Thank you so much for this opportunity. But it was, I did not think I was going to do it. But my mom calls me her little trier. You'll try. She'll just keep trying. And I would take some time and then I would come back. I would take a walk. I would come back. I would go have a taco. I'd come back, just whatever I needed to do. You know what I'm saying? Just to get through a chapter. And some chapters flowed from me and other chapters required a lot of tugging from me.
I feel like the chapter on coffee was the one that required you to tug.
You know what's so crazy? The chapter on coffee flowed.
Really?
The chapter about Kimberly required me to tug.
Wow. We're going to talk about it. Before we get to the specifics on the book, how did it feel then to like complete the manuscript and like submit it and send it in?
I was proud of myself, but I knew we weren't done. Like I was like, okay, because like once the manuscript is done, then we go through it. This doesn't fill this in, take this out, add this in. Cool. Then we go to copy. Then like you're missing a comma here. Do you want this here? Then we do this. Then we do this. Once I got the uncorrected proofs, I was like, okay, we out here. We out here for real. Yes. Yes. That's when I was like, okay, wow.
All right. So then let's get to the book. Can you read something from it? And then we'll get to my questions. Shenequa Golding's essay collection examines life as a 30-something Black woman navigating life in America. From dating and relationships to best friend breakups, accepting your inner introvert and choosing celibacy as a means of safety, Shenequa pulls back the curtain of what life is really like for a Black girl in the middle. Here's Shenequa.
I will read from chapter 6, Camera Off, page 89. I didn't write my essay because there hadn't been enough literature in regard to police violence. I wrote my story because I was hurt and sad and scared, and I needed my bosses to know why my work, especially in the first few weeks after Floyd's death, may not have been up to par. There was no time or space for those in-between feelings in the workplace. Joy is welcome, humor to a degree is okay, but anger, fear, uncertainty, confusion? There isn't enough money in the budget for all those feelings. So, the idea of being empathetic isn't really a thing. Hell, even being polite can be viewed as a little odd. You're there to work, or that's the mentality, and any time spent being humane can be considered a waste. I can't tell you how many times colleagues throughout my career have jumped right into an ask and not even said good morning. I could be walking into the office, coffee in hand, with my coat still on, and here goes Steve from marketing asking about copy for the new campaign. The fact that I was being flooded with pictures of Chauvin's smug face with George Floyd's helpless and lifeless body underneath his knee didn't factor in for some folks. And if that wasn't registering, then my slow-to-respond approach to work assignments probably wasn't even factored in.
So when we first logged on, you giving me full-time professional author, serious and sober. But reading the book, I felt like I was talking to my homegirl. So like I got all of the margin notes and underlines and question marks. When you said you can make the best macaroni and cheese, I put the little side eyes. I'm like, really, sis? That's a bold claim. That's a bold claim with no taste test. Okay.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was having to like, okay, she's in professional author mode. She's not here to cut up and kiki with you on the mic today. But you start the book, as you said, with the chapter about your name being Shenequa.
Yes,
My name
ma'am.
is Nikisha. We have two very Black girl names.
Very Black girl.
I'm glad to know I'm not the only girl who like wanted to change her name as a child, because I was like,
Mm.
it's so Black.
It's heavy. It is
And
a
then like when even to this day, when people be like, when they'll say my name, like, oh, you have a beautiful name. And I'm like, are you gassing me? Like, are you serious? Are you playing with me? Like,
mm-hmm.
every other girl I went to high school with was named some kind of Keisha.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
really a thing. And why was that important for you to start the book off with that introduction of yourself and also that kind of self-acceptance?
So I was originally going to write an introduction before chapter one, and Maya was just like, nah, just do chapter one. Right. So shout out to Maya for having that insight. My name it's my name, like, and for whatever reason, so funny. I went to lunch, colleague of mine, we went to go pick up our lunch. And I asked him, why did your parents name you what they named you? He told me. And he was like, yeah, you look like a Shaniqua. I do? He was like, yeah, like you give me Shaniqua vibes. What are Shaniqua vibes? Energy. And I was fully prepared for him to be like, just give me all the negative connotations,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what I've always heard throughout my life. And me starting off that chapter that way felt right. I just wanted to just set the tone. Like, yo, I'm a Black girl. Like, that's what it is. That's who I am. It's giving 4C, and that's who I am. Like, what's up? You know what I mean? Like, that's it.
Yes.
That's it. And I have not always been here. I have not
Mm-hmm.
always been here, but I'm here now.
And I think that's something that resonates throughout the book about just your growth from girl to teen to woman in your name, in your body, in how the world sees you and you see the world, and also in your friendship. So you said that Kimberly, which is the second chapter, was a difficult chapter for you to write. And that is about, breaking up with a best friend and someone who's
Mhm.
been instrumental in your life. Can you talk more about why that was important for you to really like dig into and how difficult it was? Because I've seen like people tweet like, oh, best friend breakups are so hard, but like a hot take in 280 characters really doesn't do it.
Mhm. That was a really challenging chapter for me to write because, as stated in the chapter, there was still a lot of resentment toward Kimberly that I
Mm.
had at the time. There was still so much confusion about that. And I want your listeners to also understand that with Kimberly and Redacted, especially, you guys got a real sanitized version of events.
I'm sure.
So if Beacon Press wants to dance again, we can, you know what I mean? Like, we add a few more characters to that and get it, you know what I mean? But that was a really challenging chapter for me because my loyalty was questioned, my integrity was questioned, my like I thought she was my girl was questioned. And when this book comes out and people read it, I assume they're gonna have some feelings. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have some feelings about that chapter. Some are gonna think that nah, Shaniqua, you was dead wrong. And others are gonna think that maybe not. So we'll see how that works. But it was really challenging to me because I felt as though she wanted obedience, and I am not here for that.
So my favorite chapter is a chapter about dating,
Chapter
relationships.
five.
Yeah. What I love about that chapter is because, like I said, we are the same age. So I am divorced. And so I've been tiptoeing into the dating pool.
Mm-hmm.
And you said a lot of the things that are important
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna have to probably edit this out, but yes, size does matter. Um, I appreciated you for like uttering that truth on the pages. I was like, she understands. She sees me. But in like making a life, I feel like so often Black women are always in conversation about the tension between the life we have, the life we want, and where the man is or where they're going to fit. Why was that important for you to like really be on the page and be like, you know what? F these ninjas.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting my coffee because it never disappoints.
So I have given so much more than my body to men, and I have gotten nothing in return. So that is why I'm no longer having sex until I'm married. Me, Shenequa, me. And what I have learned about this practice, being abstinent, is that unfortunately, men will find other things to take. They'll take your time, they'll take your energy, they'll take you for granted. They'll find writing that chapter was about me making what I believe is the best sexual decision for me.
But it was about
Writing
so much more than sex, though.
it was so much more. It was about like just being disregarded rubs you raw. It does. And I was just tired of that. And I wanted to just really stand firm. Like, this is where I'm at with it. And I decided that I was going to center me. I'm going to center me and my wants. And will it make dating difficult? I don't know. But I just know where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hope I answered your question.
You did answer my question. And this is not a dating podcast. And
we're not about to go there, but yeah.
No, like we don't platform the bros. But I'm just for real. But I feel like in my own friendship, there's always, I think, the compromise or the talk about the struggle or the sacrifice or what should I do or when is the right time to do this, that, and third. How did you, beyond just sex, get comfortable in just who you are as a person and your singleness, despite any insecurity or the labels and the ideas in the age of the late Kevin Samuels that society might try to put on you?
You know what? I'm gonna keep it real with you. Some days I'm not always comfortable in it. I'm not but I'll keep it real with you. Loneliness is safer sometimes. And I'd rather be safe. I really enjoy the growth that's happening in this space. And there are people who will say like true growth doesn't happen until you're in partnership, until me and Nikisha get married. That's the only time we really gonna know if our old self, you know what I'm saying? Where I'm at right now, the growth that is happening with me, I'm okay with. I'm good with my decision making. I'm good with my singleness. I'm good with where I'm at because this is just where I'm at, and I'm not going to jeopardize that. I have a lot of good things in my life. I have this book, I have my friends, I have my health, I have my mind. And I don't want to sacrifice any of that with the introduction of a man. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't good men out there who won't add all the good things, allegedly, quote, air quotes, but I'm not really willing to take that chance right now. And there are times when I want the companionship and the attention, but like I said, loneliness, unfortunately, is safer.
Feel you on that. And I would also argue to those who are saying like only true growth happens in partnership. I think growth is a choice, whether you're in partnership or you're single. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, partnership can show you and reflect to you areas that you might be blind to. But Correct. If you're intentional about doing the work, you should be growing regardless of your IRS filing status.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this book is written from the point of view of someone that's 30-something looking toward the next decade of your life. What would you say, or do you have any advice for young women that are 20-something coming up and then may face or have to deal with some of these same struggles or journeys that you did?
It all comes together in the end. And by no means am I saying this is the end for me. Lord, no, but it all comes together. And what I find for myself is that like I'm getting back to who Shenequa really is. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense.
Like I diluted her. I allowed the old Shenequa to be influenced and do things. I'm getting back to who Shenequa really is. It all comes together. I would try my very best as a young 25-year-old girl making it. Try and move through the fire with as much grace as possible. Try your very best. And let me tell you something. You can be graceful and angry at the same time. But try and move through the fire with as much grace as possible and find something that will anchor you. And every L you take is going to be a W in the end. I promise.
Amen. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now that you have written this book, What's next for you?
Oh, girl, I'm minding my business, honey. Oh, baby, I'm minding my business. I am very thankful that the book is out. I'm thankful that I've done it, and I'm gonna try and take some piano lessons, take some swimming lessons, and I'm gonna
Hey,
and like live. Yeah, I don't really have any plans. I'm still surprised that I got it done. I'm just like really still surprised that I got it done. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
that's what's up. So I want to move to a speed round in a game before I let you go for the morning. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book is A Black Girl in the Middle, Essays on Allegedly Figuring It All Out by Shenequa Golding. However, outside of that, have you ever read When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi?
No.
Dr. Paul Kalanithi. This Dr. Paul Kalanithi is I want to say, a neurosurgeon who finds out that he has cancer. And his book is just him examining his life. And girl, the first time I read it, I cried. The second time I read it, I cried. It is a breathtaking book. That, as well as The Short and Tragic Life of Robert Peace, written by Jeff Hobbs, an amazing book. Queenie, girl. Queenie had me wanting to move to London. Am I gonna hold you? Queenie had me wanting to move to London. I go hold you. I know there's so many. So there was a moment in time where I was on like my Chimamanda run and I was about to move to Lagos. So Americana, purple hibiscus,
Just
just all of that. Just you know what I'm saying? Like
high
I
from the
was
yellow
like,
sun. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm about to move to Lagos. So those are just a few. Just a
Okay.
few.
Who is your favorite author?
Oh my God, I don't have a favorite author, and I hate that. I love anyone who is brave enough to pick up a pen. Chimamanda, Roxane Gay, S.A. Crosby. He is phenomenal with thrillers. Um, uh, Tony, Maya, Jimmy, like the Goliaths of this thing.
Yeah.
Clover Hope, Demetria Lucas, Aaliyah King, anybody who's just brave enough to do it.
Who is your favorite artist?
Musical artists, it depends on what mood I'm in. There are days where Kind of Blue still feels like it just came out to me. There are days where, you know how Twitter likes to show old clips of musicians, like when Whitney Houston was singing to the Sailors, or when she, it's just like, this is so crass. Someone was like, she has no business being dead. And it's the truth. And it's
It
just like,
really, and she really
oh,
does it, and that's why I sighed because,
and
like,
it's just like,
it it hurts every
it does
day.
hurt every single time. It's just like, um, for me, like my vocal Bible is Brandy Norwood. Like you were never going to get me to say anything bad about that woman. I have the utmost respect for Nina, Bob. I haven't listened to Cowboy Carter in like a week, so I'm going through withdrawals.
Is this an intentional withdrawal?
It's right. It's just like, wow, Shaniqua, like you really out here playing yourself. And I love a lot of jazz too.
Ashe, what do you think is the best book to movie or TV show adaptation?
I will tell you this. Maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I want to say there was a rumor Roxane Gay's Untamed State was going to be a movie. And I said, no, no, no. That book, I had to take weeks apart from it. Brilliant, horrible in the best way to say. Like if I
Yeah.
could say to you, like, don't read this book, but read this book, but don't read this book. And I say this with the utmost respect. I'm kind of glad it didn't become a movie.
I feel you.
But I don't have a real answer for that right now.
It's okay, and I think I know why. So we're just gonna move on. Money were no object. Where would you go? Where would you live? And what would you do?
If money were no object, I would be in Vietnam. I'd sit on a beach and I'd probably cry for a day or two and then just going about life.
Mm. Can I ask why cry?
I think that I'm holding a lot of tension and anxiety and resentment. And I think I am not in a position to let it out. Like I'm
Mm,
scared to see how I come undone because I would have to put myself together.
enough said. Thank you
Mhm.
for sharing. Um, Name 3 things on your bucket list.
Learning the piano, going to Africa. I've never been to Africa. I feel like that's like, it's so whack. Like, how have I not gone to the continent yet? Like, I feel like basic. And if I'm being honest with you, like my goal is just to be like a master student.
Hmm.
I just want to be really, really good at being open to learning.
Oh, yes.
Like that's really what it is.
What brings you joy?
Slow mornings, cup of coffee. I love doing makeup, taking walks. I love taking walks. Quiet. And I love seeing like small acts of love. Does that make sense?
It does.
Small acts of love. Like I was coming off the bus the other day and I saw this. They were like this high school couple, and high school boys. They're like 10'6" now, and he was super tall and she was super short. And he bent down and gave her a kiss on her forehead while she was doing something. And I was like, I think he really likes her. That made me feel nice. So I like that. That makes me smile.
And what brings you peace?
Oh, what brings me peace? Rainy days, quietness, a clean home. Honey, a clean home. Being given the time to think about a choice and a decision before I make it. And reading books.
So our game is called Rewriting the Classics. Classic is however you define it. Name the one book you wished you would have written.
Why would you say that to me? I cannot answer that. I cannot answer. I'm sorry, but I can tell you the one song I wish I wrote.
Okay.
John Legend's Ordinary People.
Yes.
I I'm just like,
Is that why you want to learn piano?
maybe. It is such a brilliant, simple, profound, yes. So that song, I wish I wrote that song.
Mm-hmm. Name one book where you want to change the ending, and how would you do it?
Oh, okay. So I would change the short and tragic life of Robert Peace, as I'm sure you understand. He had a short and tragic life. I would change it so that he never worked at the airport.
Mm.
And with Dr. Paul Kalanithi, I would change it so that the cancer never came back.
And so my messy question, you may
It's
or
a
may not.
messy.
It's a messy question. You may or
Okay.
may not answer it. Name a book that you think is overrated or overtaught, and why.
Oh, girl. Here we go. What's the one? The Alchemist.
Your whole face is like, I don't even understand.
If you tell me you read The Alchemist, girl, bye.
I read The Alchemist about a decade, maybe about a decade or so ago, because everybody was talking about the Alchemist, the Alchemist, the Alchemist. Oh, it helps you find your purpose in life. And I was like, I read it and I was like, why are we in the desert? And like, I get it, like you go on this epic journey to find out that all you needed was like next door in the backyard chilling at the house. But why are we in the desert? Why is there a mirage?
Maybe they want to go to Coachella.
That would have been a better use of time and story and story. All right. I'm done playing with you. Final question for the day. When you are dead and gone and among the ancestors, what would you like someone to write about the legacy of words and work that you've left behind?
She tried her best.
Mm.
She tried her very best.
Big thank you to Shenequa Golding for being here today on Black and Published. Make sure you check out Shenequa's debut essay collection, A Black Girl in the Middle, Essays on Allegedly Figuring It All Out. Out now from Beacon Press. And if you're not following Shenequa, follow her on the socials. She's at Golden Girl on Instagram and Golden Girl 617 on Twitter. That's our show for the week. If you like this episode and want more Black and Published, head to our Instagram page. It's at Black and Published, and that's BLK and Published. There, I've posted a bonus clip from my interview with Shenequa about how getting back to her true self is really getting back to who she was as a child. Make sure you check it out and let me know what you think in the comments. I'll holla at y'all next week when our guest will be Riss M. Nielsen, author of the novel A Love Like the Sun.
People say they don't want to self-insert, but it's hard to not do that for me. I think I just write what I'm feeling at the time, or write what I'm thinking, or write what I'm interested in. And at the time that I was writing this novel, it felt almost like a diary experience. Like I had to write about this woman because just transparency here, I have chronic kidney disease.
That's next week on Black and Published. I'll talk to you then. Peace.